Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. In today's video, we are going to be talking about 1911s. More specifically, would I personally carry one as my EDC? Before we get this video started, as always, there are links down in the description below where you can support everything that I do here on the channel. One of the #1 ways that you guys can do that right now is by clicking on that very first link, which will bring you to the Firearm Freedom merchandise store. You can get very cool shirts, including the one that I am wearing in this video and throughout the back roll that you guys are going to be seeing. I'm very proud of these shirts and I seriously appreciate your support. If you want to make sure these videos are not being hidden from your subscription feed, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, ring the bell, comment down below. That interaction should make sure these videos do not get hidden from your subscription feed. I just want to get right out of the way. As you guys could probably tell, this is not my standard backdrop for one of these videos. And the reason for that is because a few days ago now, on I want to say Tuesday, it's now Thursday, I had a serious back injury at the gym. So I am pretty much bedridden at this point, and what you guys are seeing me in is a little walker here that also works as a chair. So, you know, it is what it is. I am hopefully quickly recovering. I've had a bad back now for quite a while, and those of you guys that have lower back problems know just how real it can get once that pain starts kicking in and it feels like you're getting that good old taser to the lower back. Bear with me. I know there's going to be an echo. I might not even be in shot, but I am just not one of those people that can sit there in bed all day and not do anything. So I decided I'm going to hobble myself into this walker and I'm going to film a video for you guys because I've been on a roll with these videos and I would hate to see them get too far off course while I'm recovering on my back here. So hopefully you guys still enjoy the video and hopefully all the information still comes across properly. 1911s. I'm going to start off with why I think a lot of people go to 1911s as a carry option, why I myself really enjoy 1911s. The 1911 is still by far, especially in 45, probably one of the most comfortable handguns that I have shot, hands down. It truly is. The way that the gun feels in my hand, specifically a single stacked 1911, it just really fits the hand well. There's a lot of comfort there, and especially when you have things like front strap checkering, which is on the newer Kimber that I have. Just dropped a video on that. If I can remember, I'll throw the card up in the right-hand corner of the screen. But even when I do things like add a little bit of Talon grip tape in the front, being able to get a little bit more traction up in the front just aids to the shootability entirely of those guns. And it's so easy to get those sights back on target and get very accurate shots downrange. The weight of the 1911 and the overall package in 45, if you have an all steel frame gun, leads to a much reduced recoil impulse. So the way that a 45 1911 recoils is much more, you'll see it consistently explained as a push backwards and not as much of a snap that you'll generally see in something like a 40 cal. And that's very, very true, once again, especially for a steel frame 1911. So that's a huge plus in the corner of the 1911. The 1911 trigger, especially in a Series 70, is tough to beat by far. It is a single action only trigger, typically anywhere from 4 to 6 pounds. You have a very crisp wall, crisp break, and a very nice reset. So as far as learning the gun and learning that trigger, it's pretty freaking good compared to any out-of-box striker-fired gun. There are some that beat it, like the CZ P10, the Walther pistols. Those are great triggers, and I do really like the trigger in my VP9. But when we're looking at triggers, you'll hear people consistently comparing other guns to a 1911 trigger, and I do feel like that is accurate. I mean, I feel like the 1911 trigger is kind of top. And when it comes to cool factor, all the FUD lore aside, I do really like 1911s. I always have my entire life. I grew up seeing them in movies. seeing the A1 featured everywhere and in a lot of different World War II movies, which I was a huge fan of as a kid, a lot of different Vietnam movies. You saw a 1911, and I fell in love with the gun for those reasons. So for me, it's a cool factor thing. And all those reasons aside, that's why I have so many 1911s in the collection. They're cool, they're shootable, I love the look of them, I love the feel of them in my hand. I can shoot them well at the range. And a good friend of mine, John, who you guys saw in the Kimber video, told me the last range day that when he shoots a 1911, it feels like cheating compared to other guns. And again, I'm not trying to tout the 1911 like crazy, but it really does. I mean, it is a great gun to shoot with at the range. Now turning the tables a little bit to if I would actually carry one for defense. You guys heard me say, hey, you got a bunch of 1911s, do you ever carry them? The short answer is no. And this is where I'm gonna probably frustrate a lot of hardcore 1911 fans, but it's kind of the truth, at least for me. When I look at a carry gun, I try to be as realistic as possible, and I also try to get rid of any personal bias. So if I see a gun that is incredibly reliable, that works well, that I know has a good track record, but maybe I don't like the company, I'll try to forgo opinions about the company and just look at the gun because it's a gun that could potentially save my life. The reasons why I don't carry a 1911 are primarily the issues of capacity and weight when we're looking at the gun. An all-steel frame 45 1911 is heavy in the ammunition department, and it's also heavy in the gun department. My EDC gun now, and has been for probably about 6 years, is the full-size VP9, and I carry those with 17 round magazines plus one, so that gives me 18 rounds of capacity in that package. Now, if we take a 1911 of a comparable size, which is just a full-size 5-inch 1911, you're looking at 8 rounds generally with a Wilson Combat magazine. Now, could you have the 10 rounders in there? Sure, but it is also going to increase the length of the grip, and I'm still only getting 10 rounds. So that's a big difference. That's not like we're comparing two 45s and one of them has 12 rounds and the other one has 10, or one of them has 13 and the other one has 10. We're talking about double the capacity if it's an extended mag, 10 to 20, and even in the standard magazine of 17 plus 1, 18 rounds, you're looking at 10 extra rounds in my concealed carry 9mm. Say what you will about capacity. I understand that in today's world, you never know what you're going to come across. And sure, it is very rare that we would be in a situation where we would actually have to draw and use our firearm. And if we were in that situation, the chances are relatively low that we would use an entire magazine or really use anything past 4 or 5 rounds. However, I want to be sure that if I'm carrying a gun to defend myself, it has the most capacity that I could possibly put in it. So when I'm looking at size and weight, I need to throw my personal biases out of the way of, yeah, I love the 1911, yes, it's super cool, but for the same weight, I could have a handgun that has double the capacity in it, and that's just something I can't ignore. Now, a lot of people with the 1911 will say, hey, the capacity's less, but it's chambered in 45 ACP and you have just crazy nuclear warhead power coming behind each and every trigger pull. I get the enthusiasm there. I understand that the 45 is much larger than the 9mm, but the reality of it is all handgun calibers kind of suck for personal protection. That's not to say there aren't some oddballs like 10mm and some revolver calibers, but at the end of the day, the basic calibers really kind of suck for protecting ourselves against other human beings. That's just the reality of it. So because of that, and with modern ammunition, it's much more even across the board with effectiveness downrange. So once again, I go back to capacity. I would much rather have the capacity than have the larger 45 ACP. Secondly, we have weight. In something of the same size, I have still less weight in a polymer frame handgun than I do in a 1911. Now, with that being said, a 1911 sure will handle recoil a little bit better because of that weight, but again, it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense for me in my particular concealed carry needs. When we are trying to kind of mesh both worlds on a 1911 for defense compared to a striker fired gun, you do see other options for 1911s if you really did want to carry them, where you could add a light, like on the new Kimber pistol that I have, that has a rail on it. I could easily put any standard weapon light on that. And also, I have a para-ordnance, spoiler alert, that's going to be coming to the channel sometime soon, and that also has a rail on it. So those are a few 1911 options, as are many others that are out there today that have an accessory rail where you could mount a light, which I think is very important for a defensive gun. So that's just something else to think about. There are different ways to carry a 1911. Now, the other pro when it comes to 1911s these days is a lot of holster options for 1911s are kind of becoming more well-known. So you're seeing options for appendix carry sidecar style holsters for the 1911. So if you wanted to carry appendix, you absolutely could. And there are, of course, a lot of strong side holsters. So those are a few points there. If you did want to carry a 1911, those are kind of a positive nowadays. For me, in my situation, even though I may shoot the gun incredibly well at the range, I have to factor in a lot of other things. So I know a lot of other people say, hey man, I gravitate towards the 1911 because it is the gun that I shoot the best. I can't argue with that. I completely understand why you would go with that. I love the 1911 myself, and I understand why you do as well, and why you would take those slight disadvantages over what you view as the advantage of shooting the gun better. When it comes to a 1911, I'll never crap on anybody for carrying that gun. I understand why you do. I get it, and if you can deal with the sacrifices of capacity and weight, so be it. That is pretty much going to wrap up these points about 1911s for EDC. Let me know what you guys think about carrying a 1911. This might be a little bit of a shorter video. We will see, and again, sorry about any echoes. I want to continue to push out this content. It'll give me something to do, and hopefully you guys will still enjoy it. If you have any other questions about this topic or anything else on the channel, throw them down below in the comments section, and you guys know I absolutely will get back to you. While you're down there, head up to the description and check out those links to support the channel. And as always, stay tuned for more great videos coming soon.